Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. A little bit later on, we'll have some discussion about the Claiming Crown down at Churchill. Nice day down there with some nice full cards where the lunch bucket crowd gets recognized on the Claiming crowd. You have the winningest horse 2024 in America in one of the races. It should be a fun day down there. But a fun weekend down in New York. Some nice 2-year-old stakes coming up today and tomorrow. So I thought we'd reach out to our friend Dave Grening, New York correspondent for the Daily Racing Form, and talk some of the action down at Aqueduct this weekend. Dave, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. And before we get to New York action, I know you were part of the team also a couple of weeks ago out at Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup. And I think we have the stretch run here of the Breeders' Cup Classic where Sierra Leone, I had half a dozen people come up to the next couple of days say, I was on the horse. And then I jumped off for the Breeders' Cup, and he finally gets it done. Over fierceness for every young third. 3-year-olds running 1, 2, 3 kind of puts the 3-year-old Eclipse in an interesting situation now with a lot of discussion. Earlier, we also had Torpedo Anna in the distaff looking very good, making the Travers kind of a key race. So there was certainly some New York connections doing very well, including Flavien Prat, who may have sewed up an Eclipse for himself. Cherie DeVaux with her first Breeders' Cup victory as her career is going very well. You were out there. What were some of your takeaways from the Breeders' Cup?
Yeah, it was kind of an uneventful type of Breeders' Cup. I mean, the Torpedo Anna probably cemented horse of the year, but it was the distaff kind of the blah race. You lost a couple of contenders along the way, and she got to the front and was kind of over into the first turn. She won. You salute her for it, but it wasn't. That was an anticlimactic race for her in a sense. It seemed like the race against the 3-year-olds were tougher, and they weren't tough at all than this distaff was for her. But the Classic was I'm one of those who, if I saw you on the street, probably would have said the same thing. I was on Sierra Leone all year, and I got off for the Classic, and, the connections there should probably thank me for that. But I don't think I expected a 44 and change pace. Look, Fierceness ran a terrific race, but when you're trying to make a case for a horse and say he ran the best race of his life and he lost, I don't think that's a great argument for winning the Eclipse Award. I think if the team Fletcher was in the opposite camp and won the Classic, they would say, well, we won the horse, we won 3-year-old of the year. It might be close. I don't see it being that close. I think Sierra Leone, based on what the horses have done to date, deserves it. And, the best part of the Breeders' Cup to me was most of the horses you mentioned are coming back to race next year. The top 3 from the Classic, Torpedo Anna. So hopefully, knock on whatever, we'll get to see these horses again next fall, but hopefully in the summer in Saratoga and before then, whether it's in Saudi Arabia or, Churchill Downs. But it's great to see that all those horses are planning to come back. Yeah,
the last couple of weeks, that's certainly been good news as the connections have announced many of these horses are coming back. And again, the 3-year-old picture comes down. I'm going to find it interesting. In the day or two afterwards, I thought I'm going to be interested to see what the final vote total is for these two. But as the 2 weeks have progressed, it seems more and more like Sierra Leone is people are tilting more in that direction. So I think I'm kind of with you there. But that's interesting, and it's down to those two. The interesting Eclipse Award, though, is going to be the older. Because, as I say, the first 3 spots in the Breeders' Cup Classic were 3-year-olds. And I don't think it's a shock. It was just an older division this year that nobody stepped up.
Correct. It'll probably go to National Treasure because he had 2 Grade 1, the Pegasus in January and the Met Mile in June. But he ran a very good race in the California Crown. He didn't win it, but that was a very solid performance. And it would have been nice to see a horse like Substanador running the Classic to see how good he might have been. Would have been cool to see Full Toronto, the Dirt Mile winner, show up there, maybe in the Cigar Mile. And I know it's not a Grade 1, and I think people get a little too crazy with Grade 1, Grade 2. I mean, if the Cigar Mile is on your resume and it's in the catalog for a sale, I think it looks, I don't care if it's a grade 1 or grade 2. It's a pretty prestigious race and a pretty important race to have on your resume. And I would have liked to see, I'm sorry that it is a grade 2, because if it was a grade 1, I could see somebody in the Breeders' Cup trying to come in here and make a case for themselves. And even a horse like, I wouldn't have been surprised if Pearson showed up in the classic. I'm sorry, the Cigar Mile, if it was a grade 1. Say, hey, we're going to, we're going to try and go for the Eclipse. So I think the older males, they did not assert themselves all year, as you mentioned, and I guess the best body of work is National Treasure, and they'll probably win it by semi-default.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be interesting. And before we get to the next couple of days, a couple other stories of note in New York. Dylan Davis wraps up a title, Belmont at Aqueduct, which ended last Sunday, continuing his nice streak from Saratoga, where he had just a great meet and followed it up with Belmont at Saratoga. So Dylan continues to ride very, very well.
He's really had a great year, so much so that, and I need to do a little bit more work on this, but look, I think Flavian Pratt is going to win the Eclipse Award, deservedly so. Obviously, Rad Ortiz Jr. deserves his usual consideration, but that third slot on the ballot there, I'm not so sure I wouldn't put Dylan down in that slot. He's had a great year for, done more with less than other people get, and he continued the Saratoga meet over to the Belmont fall / at Aqueduct session, and I expect him to do quite well here as well for this fall. So, look, maybe Brian Hernandez deserved that third vote because of what he accomplished this year, but Dylan's worked his way up there impressively this year. He's had a terrific year, and no matter what happens, he's got a lot of momentum carried into next year, and hopefully more people with bigger horses, and it seems like there are. A guy like Chad Brown's going to put him on a horse for the Remsen, I believe, maybe even the Demoiselle. And, that's big to have someone like Chad Brown in your corner, especially when you're riding in New York. So I think he's poised to finish this year well and poised to have a great 2025.
Yeah, that ROI up at Saratoga, I mean, he rode well and had a great number of winners, but the ROI was crazy too, which demonstrated he's not getting necessarily the horses we're all expecting, and that just makes it more impressive. Then we were up at the Finger Lakes a couple of weeks ago, and he came into town, took the New York Breeders' Futurity on a nice George Weaver horse, but he's going very, very well. And Flavian Pratt is, with a month and a half to go, he's in a pretty good spot to get the annual, the record for stakes win in a year, correct?
He's got a shot at it. I think it's 79, and he's at 75-ish, maybe. I lost a little bit of track there, and he got a couple of tough beats last weekend. But, there's still some big weekends to go. We've got, obviously, in California, I'm sure he'll be out there for the Matriarch, those types of races at the end of November, early December, and then Cigar Mile Day here. And, there's always some races somewhere to be at. So, he's got a shot. Not only graded stakes, which I believe is at 51, and that's 55, and then total stakes, I think he's somewhere between 73 and 75, and that record is 79. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he gets there. Like I said, I think he had a couple seconds last weekend, but if those were wins, he'd have even a better chance, obviously.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. Again, you think with a month and a half left, that's plenty of time. But then you have to remember, the stakes show up on the weekends, and you got to get some mounts in there. But it's going to be very, very interesting to watch that over the next few weeks. And I wanted to touch on one more, just because I probably should have called a replay for this. Just the other day, nice debut runner down in New York. Chris Engelhardt sent out the cleverly named Lucille Ball out of the Mayor Sassy Redhead with a solid debut victory, 82 buyer. And you wrote that they were so impressed they're going to hold off and go to a stakes race down at Laurel at the end of the year with Lucille Ball.
Yeah, look, it's been years now that allowance races, at least on this part of at least in this neck of the woods, don't really go.
Yeah.
So you have to go to a stakes race, and there really isn't anything on the program for New York. So there's a race called the Gin Talking, 7 furlongs, I believe, December 28th at Laurel. That makes a lot of sense. Try and get that try to get that stakes win early, and lift her resume up a bit, and then she'll probably come back here for the winter and have a choice of types of races. But she was impressive first time out. Chris Engelhardt not known for winning first time out, but and it's nice that the connections who usually have horses with even higher profile trainers have this one have her with him. So I'm hoping that you root for a guy like Chris, who's had an underrated career. He's done over 4,700 wins. And, he just he's pretty, obviously a lot of them are Finger Lakes, but he's done well in the New York Race Association circuit. And I hope this filly turns out to be a good one for him. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to watch, as they say, cleverly named. And I wanted to touch on one more thing that you wrote about. You wrote an article about it because I'm trying to think, it might have been Joe Christovic. Somebody tweeted out a list of trainers and jockeys that are going to be down at the fairgrounds this season. And one was notable to me, and you wrote about it. Linda Rice is going to have a string at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, that's what the plan was. There seems to be a little bit of a wrinkle there. She's still hoping to do that, but some things have come up that may not enable her to do that, and she may actually wind up altering to turf weight. But either way, it'll be a small string. There's only was going to be about 6 turf horses there at Fairgrounds. One of them she had pegged down there got claimed, so that's not going to happen now. So I think that was her plan earlier this week, and then as we get closer to the weekend, she's now starting to hedge a little bit on that. So we'll see if it actually comes to fruition, but that's what her plan was. She had a couple of turf horses that she didn't want to stop on, and we stopped turf racing tomorrow for the season, and she was looking for potential opportunities. And I'm sure she was also looking for potential opportunities to do some claiming too, as we refill the coffers a little bit.
Interesting. Speaking of end of the turf season, am I incorrect? This seems early to end the turf season. I mean, I know, and I'm not sure how long ago it was. I've followed the game long enough, but I know it's gone into December in New York before. So this seems a little early to wrap up the turf season.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind, when we went into December, we didn't start racing at Aqueduct until October. So we had October, November. Yeah. Now the last couple of years, we're basically 9 months here. That turf course is, from my vantage point, with my new clean windows in the Aqueduct press box, that turf course is pretty beat up. And I think I counted this up. Let's see if I can find this stat I have. There'll be since we've got back from Saratoga. Yeah, here it is. Okay, 100. Since we got back from Saratoga, which will be 38 after tomorrow, 38 racing days, we'll have run 154 races on the turf in 38 days. Add the last 10 days at Saratoga, and we run 210 turf races from August 22nd to November 28th, November 17th. Total of 8 were taken off the turf. So we've had our share of turf racing. I don't think, as much as the horseman would like more, I think we've had our share since the last 3 months. But again, it's really done because we've got to get 9 months again next year on the turf course. We've had 9 months on it this year, and it's taken its share of season up.
I have to admit I hadn't even thought about that, but it's much more racing, obviously, there with the Belmont at Saratoga, Belmont at Aqueduct meet, and the numbers you put out played into it. It was very good weather, obviously, for turf racing, which meant more turf racing. So yeah, that totally makes sense. Did somebody come up with a squeegee for your window?
You know what? I was amazed when I got back. I got a text from actually your friend of mine, Steve Fick, who before he shipped out, I don't know what he was. I guess he had a horse running at Aqueduct, and he came down and he said, he said, "You'll never believe this, but the windows have been cleaned." And I didn't believe him. And then I had Pat McKenna texted me pictures of them actually cleaning the windows. So I'm like, wow. And when I got back, I said, Christmas for me came in September. Christmas, I won't get a Christmas present as good as clean windows at Aqueduct. So, the biggest upset of Breeders' Cup wasn't Taffy Joseph winning that one race. It was that I came back in the windows at Aqueduct.
Very good. I'm happy for you. That's great. All right, let's take a look at some of the stakes action. Again, a couple nice stakes today. Tomorrow, 2-year-olds. Always like the 2-year-olds this time of year because it has the promise for the calendar to turn and becoming 3-year-olds in a month and a half or so. We start today with the Notebook. State Breds going 6 furlongs. And I'm going to pull up a replay of the September 21st race where we see Man in Finance break the maiden, do it very well with an 82 buyer. Running second here will be Kenny B. They will be the number 8 horse and the number 1 horse. You can see him here kind of ding-donging down the stretch. Again, Man in Finance wins, Kenny B second. They're both in today. Subsequent to this, Kenny B won to break his maiden, so they're both logical today. I had Shoot It True on top. I read your article, and Wesley Ward has horses cross-entered. Sounds like maybe Shoot It True goes. It's a filly against boys. That's why it cross-entered. But if Shoot It True goes, I'm tilting maybe in that direction. What are your thoughts in the notebook?
Yeah, now if Wesley stays true, yes, Stevie Wonderland will scratch today, run tomorrow, and Shoot It True will run today. I was kind of impressed with Kenny B both starts. I know Man and Finance beat him pretty handily on debut, but then he came back and really ran well in his second start. I like the seasoning factor there. Man and Finance, talked to Danny Gargan, and he's really just trying to use this race to get to the $500,000 Great White Way race next month, because he is stallion eligible, whereas many of these aren't. I think 4, 5, 6, 7 are not. 1, 2, 3 are. Not to say that he's but I think he might do a little bit of experimenting here maybe, and he's got the rail. I just thought it was an opportunity to maybe play against Man and Finance. He might just be better than these and go win it anyway, but it sounded like they're going to try and maybe take back a little bit, wait, and try and go on. So I thought Kenny B might be the right one here. I don't know what to make of Shoot It True. She hasn't been out since May. She's been a little bit of practice at the gate. She's going to be fresh. She's taking the blinkers off. I'm not sure what to do with her, to be honest with you. But I think the way they'll probably bet Wesley is I'd rather maybe take Kenny B over all of them in this fight here today.
Yeah, the layoffs certainly concern me with Shoot It True, and the workouts aren't necessarily jumping off the page, but I thought it was an interesting scenario with Wesley Ward that might offer a little bit of value given the other two in there. So nice way to start off the stakes section this afternoon. Then we move on to the Central Park a little bit later in the day. It'll be race number 9. These are 2-year-olds going a mile on the grass. Oh, and I should have asked, I'm assuming the weather's going to be nice today?
Yeah. Our streak continues. We'll be fast and firm for at least through this weekend. Although I did see a chance for rain on Thursday, so that might be our first time they'll have a sloppy track since like September 28th. But we're good today and tomorrow.
So turf is a go, and I pulled up a replay here. October 27th. We're going to look at a maiden special event, and it's going to be Not For Hire. George Weaver runner looks pretty good in debut, walks away with a 70 buyer figure. Not stellar, but this time of year and 2-year-olds, it was an okay effort. Davy Crockett's interesting to me. Jack and Jim, early adopter for Chad and Klarovich. Fun little group of 2-year-old turfers. What did you see in the Central Park?
Yeah, I found this to be an interesting race. Difficult to handicap 7 of the 10 that are in the body of the race, the New York breds, and then you have a European horse that would draw in if there's a scratch, of which I don't have them right now. I like Jack and Jim's debut. I thought he made a couple of different. Well, that's tomorrow's horse. I'm thinking he made a couple of different moves in the race, but this horse got bumped a little bit, and saved the ground, and then tipped out wide and made a nice run. And these slumbers, there aren't many of them, but they all seem to run very well. Yeah. And I know it's a second-time starter going against the Open Company after beating New York breds, but I like the fact he's got the win at the distance and, at least a mile 16th anyway, cuts back at 16th. I like the Jack and Jim in here a little bit. Not For Hire, I just don't know what to expect of this horse going from 6 to a mile. I thought he was impressive that day, and he galloped out like he was meant to go a little bit longer. And then George's other horse, I thought, could be interesting too, although he's coming back on relatively short rest, 15 days. Super Swift has got post 10 after drawing the rail twice in a row, winning first time out against State Breds and off the turf, and then running second to Warhard, who I thought was a nice horse for Rodolphe Brissett in the Atlantic Beach. Again, he's also stretching out. The only negative for him is he did hang on his left lead a little bit. And even as we go through this, dissect this field a little bit, we got to mention at least Chad Brown's horse, early adopter, who was third. Not a great third, but he did have a little bit of trouble in the stretch in the Pilgrim. So he'll probably win it. But I'm going to look at Jack and Jim.
And the aforementioned Flavian Prat on board, the Chad horse, adds a little storyline there as well. A couple of nice stakes tomorrow also, and looking forward to the Key Sense. State-bred 2-year-old fillies going 6. And we mentioned Linda Rice, and she has a very, very talented runner, obviously. And With the Angels, we'll go back and look at the Maid of the Mist back on October 27th. With the Angels gets it done for win number 3 and start number 3. The buyer number went back incrementally a little bit with the stretch out to the mile, but tomorrow cuts back to the 6 furlongs again. It's going to be tough to get past With the Angels. What do you see in the Key Sense tomorrow?
Yeah, much of the way that I looked at Man in Finance, I tried to look at that way with the Angels, except with the Angels has a body of work much more deeper than Man in Finance. So with the Angels, I know that it sounds like they're going to try and rate her a little bit tomorrow, try to use this as an experiment as they get ready to prepare for whatever lay ahead in their 3-year-old season. But I just didn't find anybody in here that really got me excited to play against her. Stone Smuggler was a well-beaten second to with the Angels, and then went up to Finger Lakes and won the Lady Finger Stakes handily in the flop. Maybe she'd be the one I would use if I was going to try and upset her, but I just think with the Angels it's too good for these. And Linda opted to run in this race other than stretch out the Demoiselle because she just wasn't all that enamored with her race and made me miss. I guess she set the bar pretty high for herself winning those first 2 races by about 21 lengths, and she didn't necessarily live up to that on the stretch out. So I think Linda's thinking, let me run her one more time for the experience factor. Maybe I could experiment here and then give her, put another race into her, and then we'll stretch her out next year and see how she goes in Open Company next year. So I think it's a good payday, $55,000 for the connections if they win it. And again, I just didn't see anybody in here that really got me excited to try and play again.
Yeah, if you have a good New York bred, you have so many options and has just about $250,000 in the bank already the first 3 starts. And as you say, gets to potentially put a nice chunk of change in as well. Our friend Roddy Valente has Diza Rock in here. That one's interesting. I don't know if you know this, but as I was looking, Bellicose goes out for Resolute Racing and has changed trainers. Is that the one that John Stewart set out on Twitter, hey, if you see any good horses and you can put me in touch with somebody, let me know. And somebody on Twitter did and got like a commission on this.
Maybe, yeah, that might have been. I know that he did buy it after the debut, and he sort of directed Jeremiah Engelhardt, the previous trainer, to run the Spinaway, which did not turn out to be a good move. There was a $200,000 New York bred race sitting up there for her as well. And I think it was always the plan for John to move her to Chad. Not just the fact that she finished 10th of 11th in the spot. I guess the thing I wonder about is why did it take her so long to get back? Why did it take her so long to get back to the races? Like that was August, and there were some spots at the Belmont and Aqueduct Fall meet that she might have fit in, and now here she is in this spot. But look, I'm not going to question Chad on it, and she's got a series of works, nothing all that spectacular, but she is facing a serious horse with the Angels today, or tomorrow. We'll see how that works out.
And that Spinaway won by Immersive, who was another one of the good winners on Breeders' Cup weekend. On the boys' 2-year-old side, boy, the New York or the East Coast runners in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, oof, that was a rough afternoon for them.
Yeah, no good for Chance McPatrick that day, and East Avenue's race was lost at the start when he stumbled pretty badly at the break. And unfortunately, those things can happen. But I'm not sure what the issue was with Chance McPatrick, but I'm sure they'll regroup and try and get him back on. Give him another shot around 2 turns to start the year. If it doesn't work out, then there's always those 1-turn races that you can get for the Alan Jerkins. Woody Stevens is in Saratoga, obviously, and the Jerkins will be in Saratoga. So and he's already won 2 races up there. So, if the 2-turn deal doesn't work out, he'll be fine in round 1.
Yeah, you would have to think of those bounce back. And as you say, East Avenue, there was clearly excuses. Finally, tomorrow, the Tepin, $135,000 for the 2-year-old fillies going a mile on the grass. Top of my page, I've written evenly matched. I'll be interested to see where you go. I don't know if you know or not, because, again, you mentioned scratches. I haven't seen scratches either. But Good Long Cry would be interesting if they came back, but just ran a few days ago. So I'm assuming that's questionable at best. But it's an interesting group in here, and I pulled up a replay October 11th down at Keeneland. We're going to look at She's All Charm getting it done. That was win number 2 and start number 3. Tried a stakes race already in the career. That was in Kentucky Downs, though, and that's a little bit quirky. So other than the Kentucky Downs race, 2 for 3 for Owen Hardy and Godolphin. So She's All Charm, a little bit intriguing to me. What did you see in the Tepin?
Well, first of all, Good Long Cry will scratch. I talked to Jake Ballas yesterday, and he said that they did go into the maiden race saying, "Hey, we'll see how it goes, and we'll talk about it afterwards." I think she got an 80 buyer, so I think they anticipated her, probably bouncing. She ran so well in that maiden race that there's no reason to really, wheel her back in a spot like this. Plus, I thought this race came up pretty tough. You've got for $135,000 stakes race, you've got Godolphin versus Coolmore, in mid-November on the turf at Aqueduct. It kind of blew my mind a little bit. Isle of Capri was very impressive, I thought, winning at Kentucky Downs first out. She was scratched at the gate in the Jacobson Stakes, which I think she would have been the top 2 or 3 choice in the race. Something happened near the gate, and they scratched her. So they regrouped and are coming back here. Interesting to note, Frankie Victoria rode She's All Charm in that allowance race at Keeneland, and now winds up on Isle of Capri. I did ask Ron Anderson, the agent for Victoria. He said, look, Brendan Walsh called me early first, and I took that mount. I didn't know Owen was pointing to this race, and but I don't think he's too upset about it. I think Isle of Capri is a real top contender here. And for Anderson's standpoint, he got his other jockey, Rosario, on She's All Charm. So you give the experience edge to She's All Charm with 2 wins from 3 starts. Blinkers seemed to pay off last time for that filly. And then Isle of Capri, I think it's just has the potential to be really, really talented. And the other horse I would look at in there is another Grand Motion horse, Laura Lynn, who got post 9, was a solid debut winner. This is the one that got in the stretch. If you watch the horse that was third, ultimately finished third, or it kind of came out in mid-stretch. I don't know if they actually bumped, but it did force Laura Lynn out several paths, and then straightened out. The jockey moved, straightened her out a little bit, and got her going again, and she won going away. There was one horse that has run back out of that race, a horse called Winning Street, who was 6th to Laura Lynn, and she won at Gulfstream on November 2nd. So I thought it was going to come out of one of those 3 horses. And then, like I said, with the scratch of Good Long Cry, you'll get Annie Goodbuddy will draw into the race unless they decide not to go. But I think they will go. And there you go. I think I'm looking at Isle Capri over She's All Charm over
Laurelin. Very good. I like it. I think it's a fun race, as I say, evenly matched. Those
good
are
race
tomorrow.
to end the turf season. It's definitely a good race to end the turf season on. It'd be nice if it was a little bit more, but I guess it didn't need to be. There's so few turf options now around the East Coast that some nice horses potentially, at least what we look to be potentially nice horses, wind up in here. And maybe the biggest upset next to the windows being clean at Aqueduct is no Chad Brown in the Texas Stakes.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that, but you're exactly right. Very good. Dave, always appreciate the conversation, and nice congratulations on the clean window. So we can look at your Twitter feed and know you're getting a clear view when you're making the comments on the racing. But again, we always appreciate the conversation. Have some fun over the weekend with some nice racing, wrapping up the turf season, and we'll talk again.
Sounds good, Seth. Thank you.
Dave Grening from Daily Racing Form, New York correspondent. Again, wrapping up the turf season. There's some turf stakes in the mix with the 4 stakes, the 2-year-olds. Again, it's always fun to look at the 2-year-olds this time of year as we are so close to that calendar change and these horses becoming 3-year-olds. And the Linda Rice runner is going to be exciting tomorrow, certainly, because that's a New York bred that certainly is going to be headed for open company at some point. So I think it's a nice stakes action coming up this weekend down in New York. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have a little discussion, Kentucky side of things with Claiming Crown at Churchill Downs. Nice card, big full fields. Should be a lot of fun this afternoon down at Churchill. So again, we'll hit on that in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, we'll have a little discussion about the Claiming Crown. I mentioned it yesterday, and I said, nice full fields, as demonstrated by the PPs. I mentioned it yesterday. Normally when I print up the PPs, which I do multiple times a week, obviously looking at a couple of tracks on most afternoons on OTB Live, and then maybe throw in other tracks as well. So I print up the PPs quite often. And normally these days you're 18 pages to maybe 25. Today at Churchill, 47 pages worth of PPs, indicating, again, nice big full fields for the Claiming Crowd. And I've shown some of these videos before. Our friend Jenny Reese used to write for the Louisville Courier-Journal, horse racing. And after leaving the Courier-Journal, now she does a few different things, does some publicity for Kentucky Downs during their season, some of the other Kentucky tracks, but goes out and does some PR work for the Kentucky HBPA, including bouncing around the backstretch of some of the Kentucky tracks before big events and getting interviews. And so she had a few posted this week, kind of leading into the Claiming Crown. And I pulled up a couple of them. But first we'll look at trainer David Jacobson. She found trainer David Jacobson on the backstretch. To talk a little bit about Jacobson, you normally think of as a New York guy. And I mentioned the other day that he had a winner down in Kentucky. He had horses running in New York. He had a winner down in Kentucky, and he was in the winner's circle in Kentucky. And this interview kind of explains he's shifted a little more to Kentucky. Still has horses running in New York, but the interview talks a little bit about the move to Kentucky. He also has Laughing Boy in the 10th race today at Churchill Downs. Laughing Boy, who a couple of starts back won the Excelsior via DQ at 54-1. So he talks a little bit about Laughing Boy and, again, moved to Kentucky and Claiming Crown in general. So up next, trainer David Jacobson.
I want to start off with Laughing Boy, and I want to go 2 races back when he won on the disqualification in the Excelsior and paid $111 to win. So just tell me about that race that day.
Well, that was probably one of his best races, and I'm hoping to reproduce that race, next Saturday. He's doing great. He loves Kentucky. He was bred and born here, and we're looking forward to a big race.
He ran back in the Ben Alley at Keeneland. I believe set the pace maybe and faded.
Right. Yeah.
And then was off a long time. Was he hurt in that race?
No, we just felt it was a time to give him a good, well-needed rest, and we ran him back a little quick. And now he's well rested. He's training great, eating regularly, and he's ready to run big race.
What was that like that day when he won $111?
I don't really, I can't say I don't look at the odds, but when the horse is running, I mean, my horses, they tend to run good. If I'm going to run them, I expect them to run, and I expect to win. And he ran a great race that day, and the way he was coming on again at the end, I think the stewards saw that, and they made a really good call. I watched the replays a few times, and I thought it was a very good call by the stewards. Of course, they put me up, but it was a ballsy call, to take the winner down and put him up at 50 or whatever to 1.
So your main base has been New York.
Correct.
But did you ever was the Claiming Crown even on your radar?
Yes and no. I mean, I just, I ran a few horses here in the spring. They ran very well. Ben invited me out here, and I accepted the invitation. And so far, I'm loving it.
What brought you to bring in a few last spring? The dollars?
Well, the dollars is definitely a very big incentive. But, the races, and there's just plenty of races for the kind of horses that I seem to have in my stable right now. And every day I make my entries, and I'm running 1, 2, 3 horses almost every day, and I'm enjoying it.
Had you been thinking about Kentucky before?
Well, you always think about it when you see the quality of racing that's here. and the competition that's here and the money that's here. And I'm just fortunate that I'm able to do this right now and having a lot of fun.
You still have horses in New York. How many do you have in New York?
15. I've got 15. I got a few more coming in to New York up from the farm. And, I'm still going to keep a presence in New York and Kentucky. And then, we're going to Oak Lawn for the winter. And I'm probably keep a few here in Kentucky to run a turf with. I'm really enjoying it. Everyone is, really nice and treat me very well. And not that I'm treated bad in New York, but it's just a really cool atmosphere. And it's really a lot of fun to be here.
What about the concept of the Claiming Crown? Is
I
sort of
love
celebrating
it.
these
Yeah.
horses.
No, I love it. And that's what kind of brought me here in the spring. I ran in this 10,000 starter with a horse called Sitting on Go, which I don't have him ready for the 8,000 long race. I was hoping I could get him ready in time. But that was a really cool race. We won it by a nose with IRAD. And, I love it. It's a great concept, and it's great for the horsemen and the horses.
And again, there's David Jacobson talking about essentially a move to Kentucky. He said still has plenty of horses racing in New York, but it seems like he's maybe a little more based down there now. And again, has Laughing Boy coming up as part of the Claiming Crown a little bit later on this afternoon. Jenny also did an interview with a trainer I was unfamiliar with, and no surprise when I look at some of the tracks he's been racing at, and he talks about that. Mark Hibdon. He's interesting because I mentioned earlier the winningest horse so far in 2024 is in today, and Mark Hibdon's the trainer of Tennessee Moon. In 15 starts this year, 11 wins, and that makes her, Tennessee Moon, the 4-year-old filly, the winningest horse in 2024. Overall, 16, overall 29 starts, 16 wins. But again, 11 of those were this year in 15 starts. Now, you look down the resume, and earlier this year was at Fonner. I had to look up the abbreviation EDR, Energy Downs. That might be Canada. I'm going to have to do a little more research on that, but I was unfamiliar with that. Did have a race at Lone Star, was out at Arapahoe in Colorado. So some tracks we maybe aren't normally paying attention to, but gets a chance today to run at Churchill and run for a purse of $100,000. Nice little 4-year-old filly, though, again, with 16 wins and 29 starts and $230,000 bouncing around Fonner and Arapahoe and whatnot. So it'll be fun to see. That's the 7th race this afternoon at Churchill. Tennessee Moon, winningest horse so far in 2024. And I thought it'd be fun, to show the Jenny Reese piece. She caught up with the trainer, Mark Hibdon, who is also the owner, caught up with him on the backstretch at Churchill. And he talks a little bit about bouncing around some of these other tracks and what it's like, to come to Churchill with a horse like this. So up next, with the winningest horse in 2024, Tennessee Moon, it's trainer Mark Hibdon.
Love you. She likes you to rub her head. So what's all these people doing here? I didn't even realize that she had that she was the winningest horse so far this year until we got here and people were talking about it. But so that's pretty cool to win that many races. But yeah, we didn't. People asked, "What did y'all do to that filly?" We didn't do nothing. We fed her and let her over there, and she just started running and getting good. We claimed her over at Delta back in October, I believe, and she. We run her in the A other than, I believe, the first time we run her, and she ran good over there, and she really liked that track, and so we just started trying to find the right race for her and putting her in there, and I always try to find the easiest company I can, and this probably ain't it, but we thought we'd take a shot. This is like, we don't ever get to run in a big track like this, and this was our chance, so we're going to take it and see what happens and hope for the best, right?
So, do you normally race in like Wyoming? Did that, or did you just look at the condition books and
No,
that's where
no,
that drew?
no. I went. I've been going to Nebraska for the last several years and running there, and then you run into people and they're going this way and that way, and I got to know Randy Greer over there pretty good, and his son is the CEO or general manager, and they're good people, and we wound up over there. I don't even know how it happened, but we did, and we liked it, and it's part of the most beautiful country that I've ever seen, and we kind of look at it as a vacation. So we go there and get paid to have vacation. It turned out good for us, and the people are good, and we win a lot of races over there, so it's fun.
I'm guessing Arapahoe's pretty scenic too, Colorado.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's another time we go. We feel like we're on vacation. We during downtime we run up into the mountains and just drive and look at the mountains and the snow, and it's just beautiful to us. We're from Texas, so we never get to see nothing like that. And the people over there, same thing. Them guys over there, they have one of the greatest racing offices I've ever seen. The people are great. They treat you great, and we win a lot of races over there. So it's always fun when you're winning races.
Well, what do you consider your home track?
Honestly, I mean, probably Lone Star Park. And but back in the heyday, Lone Star, where Tama and Sam Houston was running, and you could run all year. And then now it's like, I think there's a 6 or 7 month gap. We had to find something different. So it's kind of turned into probably Louisiana now too. So hopefully we can get plugged back into Lone Star. And I sent a string over there last year, and we did pretty good. And but I have horses over at Delta down in Benton, Louisiana right now, and we really love going there. Them guys are good, and the track's good, and we do okay there. It's a fun place to go as well.
So, is that where she shipped from, Delta? Then?
No, she was actually at Arapahoe in Colorado.
So you shipped from Colorado?
Yeah, we shipped from Colorado and went to Kansas and stayed overnight and kind of split the trip up.
Wow. So, so you're hauling her yourself?
Yeah, we did. I was gonna. Jimmy usually hauls my horses for me, but this time I decided that me and my son Ronnie and we took off and did it ourselves and just trying to enjoy every part of it. Coming here, you get to watch this place on the Kentucky Derby and TV and stuff, and so it's a place that we've always wanted to visit. We've always wanted to run, and this was our chance, and we took it. It's amazing. It's nothing like what I thought it was going to be. It's actually bigger. Once you get over to the grandstand, it's huge. I recommend everybody coming over here and visiting. It's really cool.
So, how many horses do you train?
I think I have 34 right now.
So you left most of your horses with your assistant while you're going around the Great West Coast or Great Western.
I wouldn't be able to. We wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have the best help on the backside. I feel like I got the best help. Lucy and Jason and Dino and Sergio, them guys, they knock it out of the park. They're really, really good, and they do a great job.
Put in perspective her coming into your life.
This horse here,
Tennessee Moon, yes.
It's. I tried to be realistic with what I got. I claimed her for $5,000. She's just she's a lower level horse, and we've been able to run her in some races and make a little bit of money with her. I know she's not Seabiscuit or nothing, but she is to us. We have a great time with her. She's probably the best horse I've ever had. So to us, she is our Seabiscuit. So yeah, it's been great.
What was it about her that made you want to go in for the claim at first?
I don't know. She just I watched her run over at Delta that first time, and I liked the way she's just gutsy. She'd prick her ears and let it roll. She did not want to be beat, and I kind of look for that when I'm claiming horses, and then we got her to the barn and tried to figure out what's going on with this horse, and give her a little bit of time and ran her back, and she fired for it.
So was it like really weird when she gets beat, or like, are you surprised?
We thought she would win, of course, but I got her beat. She didn't get beat. I got her beat when we took her over to Wyoming. I didn't put her. The weather wasn't good, and I didn't want to send her out on that track, and I kind of let her fall off a little bit, hindsight 2020, which we can all go back and do that. Probably shouldn't have ran her, probably because she wasn't as fit as I'd have liked her to be because of the weather over there, and I got her beat. That track's so heavy over there. Horses run out there about a quarter and feel like their legs are going to fall off. I think is what it looks like. So that was on me. That wasn't on her. I told her I'm sorry. We'll try to put her in better spots, and now here we are.
But you said, she's deserved it. She earned her way here.
She did. I think so.
What do you think about the Claiming Crown as an event? Have you ever had a horse in the Claiming Crown?
No, I never have. I was sitting over, was doing entries at Arapahoe, and I was talking to a bunch of the guys, agents, and some other trainers. Said, "What would y'all do? Would y'all take a shot and go over there? What do y'all think? Y'all think we got a chance, or we're going to get our head kicked in? I don't know. How do we fit?" And everybody's like, "Man, I'd do it." So everybody was encouraging, and so I did. I talked to my wife, and we prayed about it, and here we are.
How long have you trained horses?
I started breaking babies for a trainer by the name of Jim Bush back in, heck, I don't even know, probably 1996 or something like that. And then Lone Star Park opened up 1997. So I was breaking babies and for him, and then started galloping for him and working for him, and saved my money and claimed my first horse, and just kind of gradually built up to where I'm at now. And I think like I got my license in like 2001 or maybe 2002 or something like that.
Is anybody in your family in racing, or is it something that you just sort of came upon?
Well, my dad's always had horses, and he would do the I don't even know what you call it, rodeo, or he would do stuff like that. And so I was always involved in like rodeo and stuff like that when I was younger. And I worked for Frank McElvain. So I was involved in that way, and I was good at breaking babies, and that's what got me into the racehorse business, was breaking babies for Jim. It didn't matter if they were racehorses or whatever they were. We just take them and break them. And then I realized what Jim was doing and got interested in it, and he started really teaching me a lot, and I started watching and learning from him, and he was like an open book, and taught me most of what I know about training racehorses. And
about it as an event. There's 83 different trainers that entered horses in these 8 races.
I think it's amazing. Whoever come up with this idea is send them a fruit basket or something. It's amazing to have an opportunity to come over here, and like you said, people are coming from all over the country to see what they got and see how it stacks up. And so it's exciting. Like I said, there's a lot of us that don't have the big horses that get to run in the big races. So this is our big horse, and to have a chance to go across the country and run it for some pretty good money. The purse ain't so bad either, right? So getting to go run for that kind of money with a horse like this, what else could you ask for? I mean, it's pretty awesome.
I'm with him. Whoever came up with the idea, send them a fruit basket. That was, and it brings people like that into a spot where they can get some recognition. Mark Hibdon, trainer, owner, and he mentioned claiming the horse for $5,000. I pulled up the stats on Equibase. He claimed the horse just a little less than a year ago, November 17th. So it was just about exactly a year ago, actually. Claimed the horse for $5,000. Since the claim, they've run the horse 16 times and won 12 of those, won well over $150,000. That's a pretty clever $5,000 claim. And again, you look down the resume on the page in the Racing Forum, Fauner Park. Energy Downs, looked it up, that is Wyoming. They typically have a meet towards the end of May and through June. Energy Downs, again, Wyoming. Had a race at Lone Star, Arapahoe out in Colorado, and as Mark said, they were out at Arapahoe and hopped in the van, and he did the overnight, spent the night, and then moved on. And he said, I watched the TV, I watched Churchill Downs and Kentucky Downs. Now here I am. So that's race number 7 today. And it's interesting that, it's the claiming crowd. So, and I wish the Racing Forum would get in gear. I'm virtually certain these all have names, but they're all essentially starter allowances. So that's all they put in the racing form, but typically they're named after famous claiming horses. And I'm sure those names will be displayed as the afternoon progresses on the simulcast signal. But I would wish the racing forum would put the name in. But regardless, this one's a starter 12.5. So the condition of the race, it's a $100,000 purse. The condition of the race have started for a claiming price of 12.5 or less in 23-24. This horse was claimed for 5,000, just as I say, a year ago. So fits snugly in there. Since then, has not been in a claimer. I'm virtually certain was in some starter optional claimers. I'm not sure about the tag situation there, but subsequently was in some stakes in some of these tracks and whatnot. And again, has put some nice money in the bank, being a clever claim. Seventh race today, Tennessee Moon with trainer Mark Hibdon. We'll see how that one makes out. All right. Have some news and notes to hit on here. Keep your eyes on Woodbine today. They have the rescheduled Autumn Stakes, which will have Paramount Prince, the winner of the King's Plate from last year. And again, this one was scheduled for last week when they canceled the last few races. So Autumn Stakes comes back. But also the Kennedy Road, a stakes race that'll be fun to watch. When we were up at Woodbine, a couple of months ago now, we talked with trainer Robert Tiller about Patches O'Houlihan, who has been a very nice runner for trainer Robert Tiller and subsequently won that weekend when we were up there. He's the reigning Canadian champion male sprinter, Patches O'Houlihan. But in the Kennedy Road this afternoon, he is going to face No Balls, who won last year's Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. So that should be a fun race coming up today at Woodbine, the Kennedy Road, on the card, again, with the rescheduled Autumn Stakes. But also worth mentioning up at Woodbine today, there's a mandatory payout in the Jackpot High Five. It has a carryover of about $300,000. Mandatory payout, that'll be on the 12th and final race today, Jackpot High Five at Woodbine with a mandatory payout. So keep that in mind as well. Some disappointing news from Maryland. I mean, with what's happening in California, Northern California, and now Maryland, came out, they announced that they will have a reduction in dates for 2025. They'll have 100. They say 120. Well, Matt Haggerty wrote the article. He says 125, 120 days, but then adds in 7 days of racing at Timonium. So it's really 127. I'm not sure. The 120 is 114 days at Laurel and 6 days at Pimlico. And again, there's a whole shift going on there. Things are going to go to Pimlico. I think it's after this year's Preakness. They're going to tear down the Pimlico facility, rebuild, eventually close Laurel and move it over. They've changed the racing authority there and whatnot. But the 120 days is down from 160 this year. That's a 25% decline. That it doesn't seem like particularly good news for the Maryland circuit, which traditionally has been one of the circuits in America, really, going back to when I was a kid, and that has shifted and changed. Maryland has been about 10 years or 12 years of being in flux a little bit. There was a mistake made at some point with the potential for slot machines at the tracks, and there was the ownership at that point. If we go back and rehash, probably pointless at this point, but that kind of set the tone for going forward, where it's been up and down, and we shall see how Maryland makes out. Hope for the best, though, because, again, they have been a prominent player in North America as a racing venue. I don't know if I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I've had this sitting in my list, and I don't think I've pulled it out, as far as Breeders' Cup buyer figures. And I just wanted to note a few in here, most notably Sierra Leone, a 112 buyer winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. Solid number. Rebels Romance in the Breeders' Cup Turf, it was a 106. In the sprint, straight no chaser, a 103. More Than Looks for Cherie DeVoe in the mile, a 105. That's solid. And Moira and Torpedo Anna in the Philly and Mayer Turf for Moira, and then the distaff for Torpedo Anna, a 100 even for those runners. But the 112 for Sierra Leone, clearly a notable accomplishment. I also have had this over the last few days since Belmont at the Big A wrapped up their season. The average daily handle was up 18%. So there were some solid numbers for Belmont at the Big A, which plays into what we talked about with Dave Grening. The weather this fall has played right into the hand of racing on the turf. Turf racing, you tend to get the bigger fields, better handle, and the racing, the weather has been so nice. Dave Grening, which he mentioned when we talked to him, he gives the stats here, the number of turf races and off the turf and whatnot. It played into things working out very, very well for racing in New York. So again, handle up at that Belmont at Aqueduct meet, and surely a big part of that was the turf situation. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Before I do wrap it up, I want to remind you that today it's a Fan Appreciation Day at the Villa Valenti Pub, the Easy Bet down in Troy. If you're a patron down in that direction, we would love to have you stop by so we can say thank you to you. There's food, there's vouchers, PPs, there's a contest. Contest is a lot of fun, gives you a chance to win a little something extra. So again, if you are a patron normally at Villa Valenti, swing by. Give us our chance to say thank you to you this afternoon. And of course, tomorrow, it's a football Sunday here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Come on in, watch all the football action and all the racing action as well, right here, Clubhouse Racebook. And also, I will mention the Racebook because I think we kicked it off yesterday. I think we now have our Toys for Tots box out by the front door, and that'll go, I think, until December 8th. Bring in a new unwrapped toy. Yeah, there you go. You can drop it off until December 8th. Drop it off right here at the Clubhouse Racebook, right out in the front lobby. Annually, we have the Toys for Tots. So put a smile on somebody's face for Christmas with a new unwrapped toy. Drop off for Toys for Tots right here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm seeing a graphic up there, so it doesn't look like they're starting yet the pregame, but with an 11:40 post in New York, they'll kick off the pregame show sooner rather than later. So stay tuned for that as they will go over the card at Aqueduct with their pregame show. Then we'll hit into some early races at Aqueduct, kicking off at, again, 11:40, and then the nice claiming crown at Churchill Downs. Again, nice full field. Should be a fun day down there betting-wise. And don't forget that high five jackpot carryover with the mandatory pay up at Woodbine in the final race, which, again, was race 12, I believe, today. 12th and final. It'll go off at about 6:50, according to the Ron Geerkink article. So if you want to take a shot at that mandatory payout in the Super High Five, that'll be the final race today, race 12 at Woodbine. All right, that gets you up to date. And we will wrap it up for Racing Across America on this Sunday. Always appreciate your tuning in. Thanks for that. We'll be back in, an hour and a half or so to kick things off OTB Live on a Saturday morning. Usually we say Saturday afternoon, but again, we'll have a little bit of morning action before we move into the afternoon. So wrapping it up for Racing Across America, but stay tuned. Coming up, the pregame show at NYRA, and a little bit later on, OTB Live. We'll see you then.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here. at Rivers Casino and Resorts, Schenectady, where the good times flow.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.